The Bakery of Kindness. At the end of a quiet street in a small town, there was a little bakery owned by Mrs. Collins, who was an elderly woman, known for baking the softest bread and the sweetest pastries around. But what truly made her special was that every evening she left a small basket outside her shop, filled with warm bread for anyone in need. She never asked for anything in return. She simply believed that no one should go to bed hungry. One chilly evening, a boy named Oliver walked past the bakery. His clothes were thin, his stomach empty, and his hands stuffed into his pockets for warmth. He had spent the day searching for food, but had found nothing. The delicious scent of fresh bread filled the air, making his hunger even harder to ignore. Then he saw the basket. He smiled as he reached out and took the bread that was there. It was still warm. For the first time in days, he ate something that filled not just his stomach, but also his heart. From that night on, Oliver visited the bakery often. He never spoke to Mrs. Collins, as he always came after the shop had closed. But he never forgot the kindness of that little basket. Years passed, and Oliver grew into a young man. He worked hard, studied even harder, and eventually left town to build a better life. But no matter how far he went, he never forgot the woman who had given him bread when he had nothing to eat. One winter, many years later, Oliver returned to his hometown. The bakery was still there, but the lights inside were dimmer, and the once busy shop was now almost empty. When he stepped inside, he found Mrs. Collins, sitting by the counter, looking tired, but still smiling. "Mrs. Collins," he said softly. She looked up surprised. "Do I know you, dear?" she said. Tears welled up in Mrs. Collins' eyes. She had helped so many people and had never expected anything in return. That week, Oliver made a decision. He used his savings to renovate the bakery, repainting the walls, fixing the oven, and bringing life back into the little shop. But the most important thing he did was keeping the tradition alive. Every evening, just as Mrs. Collins had done for years, he placed a basket of warm bread outside the door, and just like before, no one asked for anything in return. One night, as he stepped outside to check the basket, he found a small note tucked inside. "Your kindness fed more than just my hunger. One day I will do the same for someone else." Oliver smiled, knowing that the kindness Mrs. Collins had shown him so many years ago was still growing, like the smell of fresh bread on a cold night, spreading warmth where it was needed most.